Welcome back to WION World is One. Thank you so much for staying with us. Lots lined up for you on Speed News today. Let's get started. Now, Donald Trump and his administration tried to downplay the Yemen group chat leak story as a closed case. But the Signalgate scandal, it's refused to die down. Pentagon will now investigate Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth for using the Signal messaging app to discuss sensitive information about military operations. The probe will be conducted by the Inspector General of the Department of Defense. A memo from the Acting Inspector General Stephen Stebbins said that the probe will evaluate the extent to which Hegseth and other defense personnel complied with the policies and the procedures using a commercial messaging application for official business. They will also review compliance with classification and records retention requirements. US President Donald Trump has said that billionaire Elon Musk will be likely leaving the Department of Government Efficiency in a few months. Trump praised Elon Musk as fantastic and said that Musk has a number of companies to run, including SpaceX, Tesla, and X, among others. Trump also commented on the first firing of National Security Council staffers, saying that he is always letting go of people. As per reports, the firings came a day after Trump was urged by far-right activist Laura Loomer to purge staffers she deemed insufficiently loyal to his Make America Great Again agenda. Trump has outrightly rejected these reports. The High Court in London has ordered the United States President Donald Trump to pay $741,000 in legal costs. This after the US President unsuccessfully sued a former British spy MI6 officer, Christopher Steele, over a salacious dossier. The dossier, made up of dozen memos, sparked a political controversy when published ahead of Trump's first presidential inauguration in January 2017. The dossier included claims that Trump has been compromised by the Russian security service FSB. It also alleged that Russian President Vladimir Putin supported and directed an operation to cultivate Trump as a presidential candidate for at least 5 years. Trump claimed that Orbis unlawfully processed his personal data and sought unspecified compensation for serious distress and damage to his reputation. Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen has advocated for enhanced Arctic defense collaboration with the United States during a visit to Greenland's capital. The Prime Minister, however, firmly dismissed what she described as attempts by the US to annex the semi-autonomous Danish territory. Frederiksen is on a 3-day trip to the Arctic island. A week after his visit to the territory, US Vice President J.D. Vance drew a frosty reception from authorities in Denmark and Greenland. Relations between Greenland and Denmark have been strained after revelations in the past few years of historical mistreatment of Greenlanders under colonial rule. Trump's interest in controlling Greenland has prompted Denmark to step up efforts to improve relations with the island. Israeli airstrikes killed at least 100 Palestinians across the Gaza Strip, including a strike in the north on a school serving as a shelter for people displaced by the war that killed at least 31 citizens. Palestinian medical authorities said the bodies of 14 children and 5 women were recovered from Dar al-Arqam school in the Al-Tafa neighborhood of the Gaza city. And the death toll could rise because some of over 100 wounded had critical injuries. More than 30 other Gaza residents were killed in strikes on homes in a nearby neighborhood of Shujaiya. The United Nations Security Council held a meeting on the conditions of Palestine and West Asia amid the ongoing conflict with Israel. At the headquarters in New York City, UN High Commissioner Volker Turk said that 18 months of violence has made it clear that there is no military path out of the crisis. He also said that the death of 15 medics and humanitarian workers in Gaza after shots were fired at their ambulances raises further concerns of war crimes by the Israeli army. Turk called for an independent, prompt and thorough investigation into the March 23rd incident that Israeli officials have claimed was an attack on terrorists. At the meeting, the president of Palestine Red Crescent Society said the attacks on the aid workers must come to an end and the perpetrators must be held to account. Hungary has said that it will quit the International Criminal Court after Prime Minister Viktor Orbán hosted Israeli counterpart Benjamin Netanyahu, whom the tribunal has accused of war crimes in Gaza. This is Israeli leader's first trip to Europe since 2023. Netanyahu's visit to Hungary was only his second foreign trip since the ICC issued the warrant against him in November. The ICC, based in The Hague, Netherlands, said when issuing its warrant that there was reason to believe that Netanyahu and former Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant had committed crimes against humanity in the war in Gaza. At least 9 people were killed as Israel carried out 2 airstrikes in Syria. And according to the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, Israel struck military targets in the vicinity of Al-Kiswa and Al-Mukhayliba near Damascus. The attacks came less than 24 hours after similar Israeli attacks on military targets and a ground incursion. Syrian War Monitor said 13 people died in the attacks. The strikes came despite the United Nations warning that they undermine the efforts to build a new Syria. Israel has been bombing Syrian military assets and has conducted ground incursions into southern Syria after the Bashar al-Assad regime was thrown out of power. According to reports, Israel claims that the strikes were carried out to repel the new government's forces from the border. The Syrian government and the Kurdish-led US-backed Syrian Democratic Forces implemented a prisoner swap deal in the northern city of Aleppo. Syria's state news agency Sana reported that 250 prisoners were exchanged between the SDF and the Syrian government. The prisoners include fighters that were detained in recent months by both the sides. A top military official said that the process is not finished yet and will be completed in the coming days. The official added that the prisoner swap was part of a broader agreement between the SDF and Syria's government to integrate the SDF into Syria's new state institutions. The deal signed last month included a complete end to hostilities. The agreement aimed at making SDF-controlled civilian and military institutions, which include an airport, oil and gas fields, as part of the Damascus administration. As the Trump administration continues to press Russia and Ukraine to agree to a ceasefire, Russian President Vladimir Putin's envoy, Kirill Dmitriev, met with US officials in Washington. Dmitriev is the highest-ranking Russian official to travel to the US since Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022. According to reports, Dmitriev met with Trump's envoy Steve Witkoff at the White House. He said that he discussed potential cooperation with the United States in the Arctic and on rare earth metals, but acknowledged that disagreements remain. However, he added that he has seen positive dynamics in the relations with the United States and the dialogue is proceeding in a constructive way. Colombian President Gustavo Petro has said that the country will buy fighter planes from Sweden to replace its aging Israeli aircraft after declining proposals from the United States and France. Petro on social media platform X wrote that Colombia will acquire the Sun 39 Gripen jets, which are completely new with the latest technologies. The Latin American nation is facing its worst security crisis in the face of violence by guerrillas, drug cartels and other armed groups which are gaining strength. In 2022, Colombia said it was considering to buy 16 Rafale fighter jets from French manufacturer Dassault after looking at Swedish Gripen and US F-16 planes. South Korea's Constitutional Court unanimously upheld the impeachment of President Yoon, removing him from office. The historic decision comes after Yoon's attempt to impose martial law in December. The Constitutional Court ruled that Yoon's declaration of martial law on the 3rd of December last year violated the country's constitution as it obstructed the National Assembly's authority. The court in its ruling said that Yoon did not merely declare martial law, but went on to commit acts that violated the constitution and the law, including mobilizing military and police forces to obstruct the National Assembly's exercise of its authorities. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has met Bangladesh Government Chief Advisor Mohammad Yunus on the sidelines of the 6th BIMSTEC summit in Bangkok. This is the first time both the leaders will meet since the interim government took charge in Bangladesh after the ouster of former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. Last month, Bangladesh formally sent an invitation to New Delhi for the official meet. On Thursday evening, Prime Minister Modi and Yunus were seated together at a dinner hosted by Thailand's Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra. The meeting between the two leaders is significant as it follows months of tensions between Dhaka and New Delhi over the instances of violence targeting Hindu minorities and Sheikh Hasina's stay in India. Upper House of the Indian Parliament, Rajya Sabha has adopted a statutory resolution confirming the imposition of President's rule in the violence-hit northeastern state of Manipur. The opposition members slammed the centre for its failure to restore law and order in the state and control violence. The government said that it was making all efforts to bring normalcy in the state, asserting that its policy was not to impose President's rule. After the end of the discussion, Union Home Minister Amit Shah told the upper house that a meeting between the two communities from Manipur is likely to take place in the national capital soon. At least 8 people died due to alleged suffocation from poisonous gas inside a well in the Indian state of Madhya Pradesh. The incident took place in the district of Khandwa while celebrating the festival of Gangaur Mata. Some people went inside an unused well to clean it. This is when the toxic gas inside the well suffocated, resulting in their deaths. The Khandwa collector said that the administration has announced an ex gratia 4 lakh rupees to the families of all the deceased. All the 8 bodies have been recovered and sent for post-mortem. Stock index futures for the US and Europe dropped after a rout wiped out about over $2.5 trillion from Wall Street. Trump's once-a-century tariff shock prompted investors to trim risk. Contracts for the S&P 500, the Nasdaq 100 and the European benchmark fell almost 1%. The greenback extended its drop while yields on the 10-year US Treasury dipped below the closely watched 4% level once more on Friday. Global junk bonds weakened the most since March 2020 and Asian shares fell to their lowest in 2 months. Trump's import levies and consumers' growing pessimism are raising the risk of an economic contraction. Trump's trade war sparked a sharp stock market sell-off and revived fears that the economy could stall. And economists say that the chance of economic contraction has increased after Trump announced widespread tariffs. Another mounting worry in the view of economists and market watchers is that the risk that a slowdown in growth will occur alongside acceleration and inflation, a dreaded scenario known as stagflation. The White House's TikTok-US deal has devolved into quite a spectacle. Ahead of the deadline for Saturday, the app to divest from its Chinese parent company or face a US ban. We still don't have an answer on how it might do this. A flurry of last-minute interest has emerged, with players from Amazon to Andreessen Horowitz and Blackstone reportedly tossing their hats in this increasingly crowded ring of potential buyers. While there's been a lot of chatter from the US side in recent weeks, there's been radio silence from Beijing and ByteDance. From call center workers to Bollywood stars and billionaire tycoons, Indians tend to spend lavishly on their weddings, multi-day affairs filled with sacred rituals, glittering jewelry, sumptuous meals, live music and choreographed dances for many years. Destination weddings in exotic European and Western nations were favored. However, a growing number of millennial professionals are bucking tradition in favor of more intimate celebrations, and increasingly they're taking their matrimonial festivities to locales across Asia and beyond. This is fueling a new tourism economy. In a big relief for Spanish league leaders Barcelona, Spain's Sports Council has ruled that Dani Olmo and Pau Victor can play for the rest of the season. But La Liga isn't giving up and has vowed to appeal. Last summer, La Liga granted Barcelona licenses to register the duo, but later revoked them, claiming the club failed to meet financial rules by the 31st December deadline. Barcelona fought back, appealing to Spain's Sports Council, which then temporarily reinstated the players in January. OTT giant Prime Video has just dropped the first look of the highly anticipated series Elle. This is a prequel of the hit Legally Blonde, starring Lexi Minetri as young Elle Woods. First images show her embracing all things pink, sporting a hoodie and lounging in a perfectly pink bedroom. Helmed by Laura Kittrell, the show also features June Diane Raphael and Tom Everett Scott. For latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.